What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, I thank all y'all so very much for being here. Thank you for rocking with me all this time. I've been doing this 5 years now, and some of y'all have been here this whole time. Shout out to the new people. Thank y'all for being here. I super appreciate that. If you want to support me, you can check out my music on Spotify, Tidal, Pandora. There's a song called I Can't Help Myself. There's a song called Breathe. I'm super proud of those things. I have a podcast called What is the Time? It is also available in those same places: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. You can go to zambonifong.com and check shit out. You can give me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. I super appreciate all of that. I always forget to plug all the stuff. Patreon, there's an election report there. There's you can get astrology readings on my website, etc., etc. Whatever. Go check the stuff out if you would. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week, whoo-wee, it really must be the future, huh? So we got some big stuff going on this week. So this week we've got a new moon in Aries. So that means that the sun is going to move into Aries. Shout out to all my Aries people. Happy birthday to you. We are looking at, so the sun moving into Aries, we do like to see the sun in Aries. The sun is exalted in this position. That is to say that the sun is able to do the sun things with a little bit extra verve, a little bit more vivacious than the sun typically would be. Like this is like extra strength sun. And so we do like to see the sun in this kind of position, especially since Jupiter is there as well. Jupiter is going to want to say yes to things. Jupiter wants to confirm or affirm, wants to expand and do more of the stuff and this kind of thing. So Jupiter looks like it really wants to help that sun out in some kind of way. So that's like cute. We like to see that. We do see that this lunation, so this new moon, so the moon is going to come in and conjoin the sun. That's what a new moon is. So the new moon is there in Aries with the sun, and those are ruled by Mars in Gemini. So this is our very last week of Mars in Gemini. Somebody say hallelujah. Oh my God, I'm so tired of Mars and Gemini. It's been Mars and Gemini for like 8 months now or something like this. Square to Neptune the whole time, angry and confused. Not only angry, not only confused, but both of those things. It's been a lot of that. And so that Mars is now ruling this lunation here. So, you know, it definitely, especially since we're on the direct part, right? Because Mars went retrograde in Gemini for a while. There was Mars that was like forward in Gemini for a little while and then had to go backwards. And like it didn't, I was talking about reevaluating the strategy, the plan, an inability to move forward on things and this sort of stuff, right? And then Mars moved back, stationed, and moved forward again. And so now we're on the forward pass here. So there's something here that's maybe a little bit about like, there's an ability to cut through it, to like get in there and do the thing. Aries is already kind of sharp to begin with, especially this first decan of Aries, which is where the new moon is happening. This is associated with the axe sometimes. And so that's one of my favorite images for this decan. It's like this axe is for chopping stuff, but it's also sometimes thought of as chopping the umbilical cord in some way, right? So there's this kind of like assertion of independence that wants to come through with that lunation in that spot. And so Mars has been kind of confused about what an appropriate cut could be or what the right move would be or this kind of thing. This has been like difficult for Mars for some time here. Oops, sorry about that. The shadows are moving, so it might get washed out. My bad. This actually is not a bad metaphor for where we're going with this thing, because it's like there's all this really strong sun here in Aries, right? And then, the sun is in a weird place for some time now, because not only is the sun exalted in this position here, but then our next moon is going to be in eclipse, and we're going to start to see eclipses in Aries. And so that is going to be one of the positions that the sun is really strong in, and the sun is going to be then eclipsed or having to deal with shadows and like not able to shine as brightly as it normally wants to. So this is our last Aries lunation that is not eclipsed for about 2 years. So that's something to think about here. And then also, not only that, but the other sign that the sun is really strong in is Leo. And opposite to Leo is Aquarius. So this week, we're going to see Pluto moving into Aquarius. This is a whole next moment in history. This is an epochal shift. This is like things that want to change like on a historical level, this is like a really big deal as far as like this is a generational change. And so Pluto's not going to spend the whole year in Aquarius. Pluto's only going to be in Aquarius for a couple of months, and then it's going to move back into Capricorn. But this first little bit here, Pluto moving in and hitting that 0 degrees of Aquarius, you will recall that 0 degrees of Aquarius, that's where we got the great conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter, which started our whole new the landscape of the new era of world. What gets to be real in this world has changed, and so we've moved into the era of air. I've spoken at length about that before, so if you have questions about that, you can check it out. I think the second episode of my podcast is deals with that and the kind of new era, the future that we're moving into here, right? And so that happened at that degree. We also had Mars-Saturn conjunction at that degree. We also had, and that Mars-Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius, that was associated with like the madness that was 2020. And then we had a Mercury cazimi at that degree a little bit later. And now here we've got Pluto moving in here, and Pluto's going to station retrograde at 0 degrees of Aquarius a little bit later. And so this is really, we're talking about major historical shifts here. With Pluto moving into Aquarius, Pluto is going to be, power dynamics. We're going to be looking at wealth and the way that money operates, especially like if we think about plutocracy, then we're going to be thinking about like large wealth, big money stuff. We're not talking about, like, if you're watching this, then we're probably not talking about your money. No shade on you. I just know what my money is like, and I know what most of the people around me tend to be like. We're not talking about that kind of money. I don't hang out with Elon Musk, you know what I mean? I'm talking about Elon Musk money. I'm talking about Bill Gates money. I'm talking about like all the ones, them ones, the ones who run shit. That type of money. We're talking about that. And we're talking about a move into, so Aquarius, where are we looking at with Aquarius? So for the one thing, we've had Saturn in Aquarius for a real long time, right? So when we think about Aquarius things, then we're going to be thinking about Saturn, and we're going to be thinking about boundaries and structures, and we're going to be thinking about organization and management and all this kind of stuff, right? But we can recall that Saturn has now moved into Pisces. Saturn is no longer in such amazing Saturn dignity. Saturn can't just do the Saturn things as easily as he used to be able to do for the past 5 years now. And so now when we're thinking about those Saturn things, we're thinking about management and organizations and structures and this kind of thing, then what we're going to be getting is some Pluto, right? Pluto likes to deal with corruption and this big money, or Pluto will often be like rotten in some kind of way, or there's something like composty about the way that Pluto likes to operate, right? And so with this kind of stuff in mind here, we're definitely going to be leaning into the real future. The future has arrived. And so there's going to be some kind of like visceral engagement with that. And this new moon at 0 degrees of Aries is making a sextile to that, right? So it's really trying to, if Aries is trying to start things, is trying to like get things, Aries is the spark, get it moving, right? That's our first cardinal sign in some traditions, right? And so then we're going to be looking at that as like really trying to get the new thing going here, because like for most of the beginning of 2023 we did a bunch of like retrospective, had all these retrogrades and this kind of thing. Now we're like full steam ahead, future time. What is going on in the future? What is the future composed of? We're going to be looking at air dynamics, and so information is likely to be a really big deal here. Language and language modeling is going to be a super big deal here. The idea of what life is, and what, like if Pluto is associated with death and things like that, then is death opposite to life? If so, how and why? If not, how and why? It's likely that we're going to have to like deal with that a little more critically than we might have had to in Earth times when things were maybe a little simpler, right? There are these kinds of dynamics here that really want to change and really want to bring us into some deep and important questions about what the world is and the nature of being and all this kind of stuff. It looks frankly kind of terrifying, but those among us who are very wise know that no crisis can should go to waste. We can use that. So I'm out of time here. I've got a week or a quarterly forecast coming out pretty soon. Gonna dig into all this a lot more later.